John Albert Cohn was an American teacher and school superintendent, born in 1859 in Bowdenham, Maine, the son of Reverend Charles Cohn and Margaret Butterfield Cohn. He attended Litchfield Academy before becoming first assistant at a high school in Honolulu. He eventually became the principal, but left after 3 years to travel to California. He became principal of Bowdenham High School, served as principal of Topsham High School for 12 years, and was superintendent of schools for the Topsham district for 17 years. He died in 1928. Cohn occasionally contributed short stories to the Lewiston Journal, and in 1904 he published a collection of essays entitled The Man Who Pleases and the Woman Who Charms. In 1900, his scattered short fiction was collected under the title A Musical Reformation, which we shall be reviewing today. The title story concerns Harding, a heavy drinker who, finding the church a good place to be when the outside is cold and uninviting, is also lured in by the sound of the organ. The music touches him emotionally, and he vows to quit drinking, but then proceeds to return to the drink immediately. My Escape from Suicide concerns the narrator reminding the readers of the mysterious series of suicides that took place in San Francisco in 1887. He then recalls his meeting with a bizarre man named Dr. Kurtz, who tries to use his hypnotic powers, trying to force him to commit suicide, which the narrator barely manages to avoid through sheer force of will. A Strange Adoption is the story of a man who is accosted all of a sudden by a woman in the street who puts her hand on his arm and asks if he wants to be rich. It turns out he was handpicked by 2 rich sisters who want to find an exact replacement for their deceased brother Albert, something the narrator is not at all keen on going along with. Mr. Brett's Excursion relates how a man promised his wife and children to take them along on a boat excursion, but drinks away all the money the day before. A Spoiled Story concerns a young man who, while walking through the tropical forest, is pursued by a snake, falls down the side of a crater, and then finds himself confronted by yet another snake. However, the 2 snakes fight each other instead, before one eats the other, and that's about it. A Natural Conclusion is a rather minor affair. A man sends his girl a newspaper clipping, she reads the wrong side, and almost calls it quits with him before realizing her mistake. The New Minister is also based around a mistake. A mob is enraged when they think their new minister is writing love letters to a married woman, but it turns out he is only writing fiction on the side. Finally, His Week Off is a simple story of a man falling in love with his friend's fiancée without knowing her identity, and then leaving bitterly when he finds out. The first 3 tales showcase the most imagination, with well-handled displays of addiction, madness, and suicide, but the rest of the stories, when not repeating these themes less skillfully, are rather much less entertaining. It seems Cohn had the occasional good idea, but could never foster his material into any truly enduring form.